Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel, English Journey Conversation. I am really happy to see you here. If you enjoy my videos, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to support my channel. Your support means a lot to me. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of English Journey Conversation. I am very happy that you are listening today. Thank you for pressing play and giving me your time. I know your time is important, and I also know there are many podcasts and shows you could choose to listen to. That is why I truly appreciate that you are here with me. Maybe you are walking right now, or maybe you are sitting at home and relaxing. Maybe you are studying, or maybe you are on the bus traveling somewhere. No matter where you are, I want you to know one thing. Thank you. Your support really matters to me. My name is Jara, and my job here is simple. I want to help you grow. I want to help you improve your English, especially your listening and speaking skills. But I also want to give you something more than English lessons. I want to share ideas that can help you in your everyday life. This podcast is not only about learning English words and sentences. It is also about learning life skills. Skills that can make you stronger, happier, and more confident. Today, we're going to talk about something very interesting and powerful. The topic is how to train your brain to think differently. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to change the way you think? Sometimes our thoughts are negative. Maybe you feel like you cannot do something. Maybe you feel afraid to try something new. Or maybe you feel stuck, like nothing is changing in your life. Or maybe you want to become a more confident person, a more positive person, or a more creative person. If your answer is yes, then today's episode is for you. Thinking is something we all do every day. But many people do not understand a simple truth. You can actually change the way you think. Your brain is not fixed. It is not like a stone that cannot change. Your brain can learn. Your brain can grow. And if your brain can grow, then you can grow too. Many people believe that their mind is set in one way forever. They think their personality, intelligence, or habits cannot change. But this is not true. Your brain is like a muscle. When you practice and train it, it becomes stronger. When you practice new ways of thinking, your brain builds new pathways. This means you can develop new habits and new ideas. Think about learning English. When you practice listening, speaking, reading, and writing, you get better over time. The same thing happens with your thoughts. If you practice positive thinking, your brain will begin to think in a positive way more often. If you practice being creative, your brain will become more creative. It may not be easy at first. Changing the way you think takes time and effort, but it is possible.
It starts with small steps.
The first step is awareness. You need to notice your thoughts. When you notice negative thoughts, you can choose to change them. You can ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Then you can choose a better thought. Another step is to challenge your negative thoughts. If you think, I can't do this, you can ask yourself, why not? You can remember times when you succeeded before. You can tell yourself, I may not be perfect, but I can try. A small change in your thinking can lead to big changes in your life. Remember, your brain is powerful.
It can change and grow.
If you train your brain, you can become a stronger, happier, and more confident person. So, let's start this journey together. Let's train our minds to think differently and grow every day. This idea is not only about learning English. It is about your whole life. It affects your habits, your feelings, your goals, and your dreams. The way you think shapes everything. It shapes the way you talk to yourself. It shapes the way you speak to other people. It shapes the decisions you make. It shapes how you solve problems. It even shapes how you feel every single day. If you always think in the same way, you will always live in the same way. Nothing will change. Your life will stay the same because your mind stays the same. But if you learn to think in new ways, more positive, more creative, more open, then everything in your life starts to change. You begin to feel more confident. You begin to see more opportunities around you. You start to feel happier. And this is exactly what we will explore in today's episode. So, how can you slowly and simply train your brain to think in a better way? Don't worry. I will explain everything step by step. I will use easy English so you can understand clearly. This way, you will improve your listening and speaking skills, and at the same time, you will improve your mindset. So please stay with me until the end. You will learn something that can help you not only today, but tomorrow, the day after, and every day in your future. Let's begin this journey together. A journey to train your brain to think differently and to live better. Welcome again to English Journey Conversation. Now, what does it really mean to think differently? You may have heard this phrase many times before. People say it in motivational speeches, in books, or in videos. But today, we are not just going to hear it. We are going to understand it clearly and simply. I want you to understand it so well that you can use it in your daily life. And as we do this, you will also be practicing your English. You will learn important ideas using simple words. Thinking differently means changing the usual way you think. It means not always following the same thoughts or ideas that you are used to. It means looking at things from a new angle. It means questioning your old beliefs and trying new ways of thinking. When you think differently, you stop letting your past control your future. You start to create a new path for yourself. For example, imagine you always think, I am not good at English. When you think like this, you will not try to speak. You will not practice. You will feel afraid. You will stay in the same place. But if you change your thought to, I can improve if I practice, then you will try more. You will study more. You will speak more. Slowly, your English will improve. This is thinking differently. It is a small change in your mind, but it can create a big change in your life. Thinking differently also means being open to new ideas. It means not closing your mind when something is difficult. It means saying, I may not know this yet, but I can learn. This kind of thinking creates new opportunities. It makes you more creative and more confident. It helps you see solutions instead of problems. So, thinking differently is not just a phrase. It is a skill. It is something you can practice every day. And the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. Your brain will begin to naturally think in new ways. You will feel stronger, happier, and more hopeful. And that is what we want. In the next part of the episode, we will learn simple steps to train your brain. We will look at easy exercises you can do every day. We will learn how to change negative thoughts into positive ones. And we will learn how to build a mindset that helps you succeed. So keep listening, and let's continue this journey together. Sometimes we do not even notice how much we repeat the same thoughts every day. We wake up and think the same thoughts. We face problems and react in the same way. We talk to ourselves using the same words. And because we think the same way, we often get the same results again and again. This happens without us realizing it. It becomes a habit. We do it automatically. But when you start thinking differently, something powerful happens. Your mind begins to change. You start to look at things in a new way. You ask new questions. You try to find new answers. You open your mind to learning, growing, and changing. You begin to see possibilities instead of limits. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine you make a mistake. What is your usual thought? Maybe you think, I am not good enough. I can't do this. I always fail. These are negative thoughts. They make you feel small. They make you feel weak. They make you feel stuck. When you think like this, you may feel sad or angry.
You may stop trying.
You may feel like giving up. Now, imagine if you thought something different. Instead of feeling bad, you think, This mistake helps me learn. Next time, I will do better.
It is okay.
I am growing. Do you see the difference? These new thoughts do not ignore the mistake. The mistake is still there, but the way you respond to it changes. And because your response changes, your feelings and actions change too. When you think this way, you start to feel stronger. You start to feel more confident. You start to take action. You keep trying, even when things are difficult. This is one clear example of thinking differently. Now, let's talk about two types of mindsets. A mindset is the way you think. The first type is called a fixed mindset. This means you believe you cannot change much. You believe your abilities are limited. People with a fixed mindset often think, I am just not smart. I am not good at English. That is just how I am. When they face problems, they stop trying. They feel afraid of failure. They think failure means they are not good enough. So they avoid challenges. They stay in their comfort zone. But there is another mindset. This one is called a growth mindset. A person with a growth mindset believes they can improve with time, effort, and learning. They think, I can get better. I can learn if I keep trying. This is hard, but I will work on it. They do not see mistakes as failure. They see mistakes as a way to learn. They understand that progress takes time. They keep practicing and they keep improving. People with a growth mindset face problems with courage. They do not fear failure. They use it as a lesson. They believe their brain can grow and change. They believe they can develop new skills. They believe they can become better, step by step. So, the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset is simple. A fixed mindset says, I cannot change. A growth mindset says, I can grow. A fixed mindset stops when things get difficult. A growth mindset continues even when things are hard. And this is the key to changing your life. If you learn to think differently, you can change your habits, your actions, and your future. They believe they can improve. They believe they can learn. They say things like, I can't do it yet, but I will keep trying. I won't give up. They see mistakes as lessons. They see effort as progress. They keep moving forward even when things are difficult. Thinking differently often means moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Now, let's make this even simpler with daily life examples. These examples will help you understand how thinking differently works in real life. Example 1. Learning English. Imagine you want to speak English better. If you think, I can never speak fluently, your brain will believe it. You may feel hopeless.
You may stop trying.
You might not practice at all because you think it is impossible. But if you think, I'm not perfect, but I can improve if I practice every day, something powerful happens. You give your brain energy. You give your brain hope. You open the door for learning. You start looking for new ways to practice. You might watch videos, talk with friends, or listen to podcasts. That is thinking differently. And it is one of the most powerful tools for English learners like you. Example 2. Trying something new. Your friend invites you to join a new class, learn a new skill, or visit a new place. A common thought might be, no, I don't know how to do that. It's not for me. This thought closes the door. It stops you from trying. But if you change your thought and say, I've never tried this before, but maybe it is good for me. Why not give it a try? That small change opens a new door in your life. You train your brain to be curious instead of afraid. You start to explore new things. You begin to grow. Example 3. Starting the day. Even small situations like waking up in the morning can show the power of your thoughts. The usual thought might be, oh no, another busy day. This thought makes the whole day feel heavy. You feel tired before you even start. But if you change the thought to, this is a new chance to learn and grow, your energy changes. You feel more hopeful. Your brain becomes more active and focused. Your day feels lighter and more positive. This is why thinking differently matters so much. It affects everything: your feelings, your actions, your relationships, and even your future. When you think positively, you feel better. When you think creatively, you find new solutions. When you think with confidence, you take more chances. And remember, thinking differently does not mean ignoring problems. Problems are real. Mistakes are real. Challenges are real. You cannot just pretend they do not exist. But when you train your brain to think differently, you learn to handle these problems better. You learn to see them as chances to grow instead of reasons to stop. For example, when you face a problem, instead of saying, "This is too hard," you can say, "This is hard, but I can learn. I can take small steps." When you think like this, your brain stays calm. Your brain stays open. You can find solutions more easily. You can move forward with confidence. Thinking differently is like training a muscle. At first, it may feel strange, but the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Your brain will start to automatically think in new ways. You will start to see life differently. You will feel more confident and more hopeful. So, keep practicing. Keep training your brain. And remember that every small change in your thinking can create big changes in your life. When you think differently, you begin to live differently. And that is the power of your mind. When you train your brain to think differently, you will also change how you respond to problems. You will not run away. You will not give up. Instead, you will become stronger. This does not mean you are pretending everything is okay or acting fake. Thinking differently does not mean ignoring your problems. It means choosing better ways to think. It means taking control of your thoughts instead of letting old habits control you. And here is the best news. Anyone can do it. Even if you have been thinking the same way for many years, your brain can still change. It may not change in one day, but slowly, gently, and powerfully, it can change. Think about it this way. Just like learning English, training your brain is not magic. It is a skill. And like every skill, it takes practice. The more you practice, the stronger it becomes. So every time you choose a better thought, every time you ask a new question, every time you try a new way of thinking, you are training your brain. You are building a better version of yourself. You are becoming someone who can handle life in a better way. You are becoming more confident, more positive, and more hopeful. Now you can see that thinking differently is not just about changing your thoughts. It is about choosing better thoughts. It is about believing that you can grow, that you can learn, and that you can become more than you are today. And, my friend, this is the first step toward a better life. So, why does our brain think the same way? Our brain is amazing. It is always learning, always remembering, always adapting. But here is something important to understand. The brain loves habits and routines. The brain feels safe when things are familiar. That is why over time we start thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, and reacting in the same ways, even when those habits are not helping us anymore. This is where the idea of mental habits comes in. Just like we have physical habits like brushing our teeth, checking our phone, or drinking coffee every morning, we also have mental habits. Mental habits are patterns of thought that we repeat again and again without even noticing. They become automatic. We do them without thinking. And because they are automatic, they can be hard to change. Let me give you an example. Imagine you wake up in the morning and the first thought you have is, "Today is going to be a bad day." This thought becomes a mental habit. It repeats every day. You may not even realize you're thinking it, but it affects your whole day. It makes you feel tired, stressed, or unhappy. It makes you see only the negative side of things. This is a mental habit that is not helping you. Now imagine you wake up and think, "Today is a new chance." I can learn something new. This is also a mental habit. But this habit helps you. It gives you energy. It makes you feel hopeful. It makes you look for good things during the day. The difference is the quality of the thought. One habit makes your life harder. The other habit makes your life better. Mental habits are powerful because they shape your reality. They shape how you feel, how you act, and what you believe about yourself. That is why it is so important to notice them. If you want to think differently, you need to start by recognizing your mental habits. You need to notice what thoughts you repeat every day. The good news is that you can change these habits. You can replace a negative mental habit with a positive one. You can train your brain to think in new ways. And it does not have to be difficult. It just takes small steps and practice. In the next part of this episode, we will talk about how to recognize your mental habits and how to change them. We will learn simple steps you can do every day. You will learn how to replace negative thoughts with positive ones. You will learn how to build new habits that support your growth. So keep listening, and let's continue this journey together. Imagine someone who often thinks, "I'm not good enough." Every time they try something new, that thought appears. Maybe it started from one small experience like failing a test or getting negative feedback from someone. But the more they repeated that thought, the stronger it became. Over time, it turned into a mental habit. The brain learns from repetition. When you do something once, your brain creates a small connection. When you do it again, the connection becomes stronger. And if you repeat it many times, the brain says, this is important. Let's make a strong path for this. This is how habits are formed. Think of it like walking through a grassy field. The first time the grass is tall and hard to walk through, you have to push the grass aside. But the more you walk the same path, the more the grass bends. After many walks, the path becomes clear and easy to follow. That's exactly how our thoughts work. The more we repeat a thought, the easier it becomes for the brain to think it again. This is why our brain tends to think the same way over and over. It is not because we cannot change. It is because we have practiced thinking in that way for a long time, sometimes for years. These repeated thought patterns become automatic. They happen without us even noticing. The brain is actually trying to help us by saving energy. It says, "Why think of a new solution? We already have one." But here's the problem. Even if that solution is negative or unhelpful, the brain still prefers it because it is familiar. The brain chooses comfort over change. It chooses what it already knows. So even if the thought is not good for you, your brain will still repeat it because it feels safe. For example, imagine someone who always feels nervous before speaking in public. Their brain has developed a habit. Speaking in front of people equals fear. So even before they open their mouth, their brain reacts with stress. Their heart beats fast. Their hands shake. They may feel weak. It is not because they cannot speak well. It is simply because the brain is following its usual path. The brain is repeating an old thought pattern. The same thing happens to many of us. Whether it is about confidence, learning, or relationships, our thoughts often follow old routes. The brain finds it easier to repeat than to change. This is why it can be hard to think differently. The brain is not being stubborn. It is just doing what it has practiced. But the good news is that you can change those paths. You can create new paths. You can train your brain to think in a better way. It will take time, but it is possible. The brain is flexible. It can build new connections. Just like you can create a new path in a field by walking a new route many times, you can create new thought habits by practicing new thoughts again and again. For example, if you want to feel confident speaking English, you can start with a small new thought like, "I can improve if I practice." If you repeat this thought often, the brain will begin to accept it. Over time, your brain will start to believe it. Your confidence will grow. Your fear will decrease. You will start to speak more easily. So remember, the brain loves habits because they save energy. But you're not stuck with old habits forever. You can create new ones. You can change your thoughts. You can think differently. It may take time, but it is worth it. You can train your brain, step by step, to think in a way that helps you grow and become stronger. Changing the way you think does not happen in one day. Of course, it takes awareness and daily practice. But the truth is, it is 100% possible. The first step is very simple. Just notice. Pay attention to your thoughts. Ask yourself, what thoughts come up again and again in my mind? Are these thoughts helping me move forward, or are they holding me back? Once you become aware of these thought patterns, you suddenly have power. You can pause. You can stop. And you can choose a new thought. This is where change begins. This is how you train your brain to think in better ways. You see, our brain gets used to thinking in the same way because it is trying to help us work efficiently. The brain loves shortcuts. It likes to save energy. When it finds a solution, it repeats it again and again. But sometimes that efficiency comes with a cost. It keeps us stuck in old patterns that limit our growth. The brain wants what is familiar, even if it is not good for us. When we recognize these patterns and understand how they work, we take the first step toward real mental freedom. We begin to break free from old habits. We begin to create new ones. And remember, even a small shift in thinking can create big changes in your life. You do not need to change everything overnight. Just start with one small thought. Walk one new path. Your brain can change. Now that you understand what it means to think differently, let's go one step deeper into something very interesting, something that many people do not know. Here it is. Your brain can change. Yes, it is true. Your brain is not fixed. It is not stuck. At any age, your brain can grow. It can learn. And it can change. Scientists call this ability neuroplasticity. Don't worry about the big word. Let's keep it simple. Neuro means brain. Plasticity means the ability to bend, move, or change shape. So neuroplasticity simply means this. Your brain can change the way it works based on how you think, what you do, and what you learn. Think of your brain like a muscle. When you go to the gym and lift weights, your muscles get stronger. If you do not use your muscles, they become weak. It is the same with your brain. When you use your brain in new ways, it becomes stronger. When you practice new thoughts, it becomes easier to think in new ways. Your brain builds new pathways. And the more you practice, the stronger those pathways become. For example, when you practice English every day, your brain builds a strong path for English. At first, it is difficult. You may feel nervous or confused, but over time, it becomes easier. Your brain learns. Your skills improve. The same thing happens with your thoughts. If you practice thinking positively, your brain builds a strong path for positive thinking. If you practice being confident, your brain builds a strong path for confidence. It may feel hard at first, but with time, it becomes natural. This is why you should not feel bad if you have negative thoughts. It is not your fault. Your brain is simply following old paths. But you can change those paths. You can build new ones. You can train your brain to think in a better way. Remember, change takes time. But your brain is capable. It can grow. It can learn. It can change. And you can guide it. The key is to practice every day, even in small ways. The small steps will lead to big changes. You can become the person you want to be. You can create a better future. When you practice new thoughts, try new things, and challenge yourself, your brain becomes stronger. It learns to think in better, faster, and more positive ways. But if you always think the same thoughts, do the same things, and stay in your comfort zone, your brain stays the same. It does not grow. It does not change. To understand this better, let's use a simple picture. Imagine your thoughts are like paths in a forest. Every time you have a thought, you walk down that path. If you think the same thought again and again, that path becomes very clear, very strong, and very easy to walk on. It becomes a habit path. But what happens if you stop walking on that path? Slowly, the grass starts to grow back. The path becomes weaker. It becomes harder to walk on. At the same time, when you begin walking on a new path, a better thought or a more positive thought, that path starts to become clearer and stronger. This is exactly how your brain works. You are not stuck with your old paths. You can always create new ones. Now, what does all of this mean for you? It means you can build better thoughts. You can train your brain to think in new ways by choosing better thoughts every day. Your brain is not fixed. It can change, and you are the one who controls it. For example, if you always think, "I can't speak English," your brain builds that path. Your brain gets used to it. That path becomes stronger and stronger. Every time you think that thought, the path gets deeper. Your brain begins to believe it. You start to feel nervous. You stop practicing. You avoid speaking. Your English stays the same. But if you start saying, "I'm learning to speak English," again and again, your brain begins to build a new path. At first, it may feel strange. It may feel unnatural. But if you repeat it, the new path becomes stronger. You start to believe it. And when you believe something, you begin to act in new ways too. You start practicing more. You start speaking more. You start learning faster. This is how your brain changes. It listens to your thoughts. It watches your actions. It remembers what you do often. And then it makes those things easier for you. That is why habits are powerful. That is why thoughts are powerful. Your thoughts create your habits, and your habits shape your life. Think about how you learned to walk as a child. At first, it was hard. You fell many times, but you kept trying. You kept practicing. Your brain learned the pattern. Eventually, walking became easy. You did not even think about it. It became automatic. The same thing happens with your thoughts. If you practice a new way of thinking, it will become automatic too. You don't need to be a scientist to understand this. You just need to know one simple truth. Your brain changes based on what you think and do. If you want a better life, you need better thoughts. If you want to feel more confident, you need more confident thoughts. If you want to be happier, you need more positive thoughts. The good news is that you already have the power to do this. You can choose what thoughts you repeat. You can choose which paths to walk. You can choose the life you want. It starts with one small thought, one small change, one new path. And from there, your brain will begin to grow and change. So remember, your brain is like a forest with many paths. You can choose which paths to walk. You can create new paths. You can train your brain. And you can become a better version of yourself, step by step, day by day. You don't need to be a scientist to understand this. You just need to remember one simple idea. Your brain is always learning. Every time you try something new, every time you practice a new skill, every time you think a new thought, your brain is changing. Even right now, as you listen to this podcast in English, your brain is learning. You are growing. And that, my friend, is amazing. Many people say, "I'm too old to change," or "My brain just doesn't work that way." But that is not true. Science shows us that people can learn new things, break old habits, and build new ways of thinking even in their 40s, 50s, 60s, or older. The brain is flexible. The brain is smart. The brain is always ready to grow if you are ready to try. Let's take one more example. Imagine you want to be more confident. If every day you tell yourself, "I am confident," or "I believe in myself," your brain starts to accept that as truth. Your brain begins to build a new path. It starts to believe you are confident. And when you believe it, your actions change too. You start to speak more clearly. You start to take more chances. You start to feel stronger inside. But if you keep saying, I'm shy or I'm not good enough, your brain believes that instead. Your thoughts become your truth. You start to act shy. You avoid people. You stop trying. Your confidence stays low. So it is very important to choose thoughts that help you grow. Of course, this takes time. It does not happen in one day. Just like going to the gym, you need to train regularly. You need to practice every day. But the more you practice, the easier it becomes. One small thought every day, one new action every day, and slowly you will see change. That is how your brain becomes stronger, smarter, and more positive. So now you know your brain is not a rock. It is not stuck. It is not too old. It is alive, flexible, and ready to change. You just need to give it the right signals through your thoughts, your actions, and your words. You are not a prisoner of your past thinking. You are the creator of your new thinking. Remember this sentence: you can build better thoughts. Yes, you can. You're already doing it right now. Every time you listen, every time you learn, every time you practice, you are training your brain to think differently. Isn't that amazing? Your brain is changing even as you read or listen to this. You are building new paths. You are becoming stronger and smarter. So keep going. Keep practicing. Keep learning. The more you do it, the more your brain will grow. And now, I want to remind you of something important. Thinking differently is not just about feeling good. It is about living better. It is about making better choices, creating better habits, and becoming the person you want to be. When you change your thoughts, you change your life. So stay positive, stay curious, stay open, and remember that every small step you take today will lead to a better tomorrow. You are on a journey, and you are doing great. Keep going, and keep training your brain to think differently. Now, let's ask a very important question. Why don't most people think differently? If the brain can change, if we can train it to think better, then why don't more people do it? This is a great question. The truth is, most people do not change their thinking, not because they cannot, but because there are certain habits and fears that stop them. Today, we will talk about these common habits in simple words so you can understand them clearly. And more importantly, you will learn how to change them. One of the biggest reasons people don't change their thinking is fear of failure. Nobody likes to fail. Failure feels bad. Many people are afraid to try something new because they worry. What if I fail? What if I look stupid? What if I'm not good enough? These thoughts stop them before they even begin. So instead of trying to think differently and learn something new, they stay exactly where they are. But here is the truth. Failure is not the enemy. Failure is part of learning. In fact, failure often teaches us more than success. When you fail, your brain gets a chance to grow.
It gets a chance to adapt.
It gets a chance to try again, this time with more wisdom. Failure shows you what to improve.
It shows you what to change.
It gives you new information. If you see failure this way, it becomes a tool for growth instead of a reason to stop. Now that we know why most people don't think differently, let's talk about the most important part: how you can actually train your brain to think in new, better ways. Remember, your brain is like a muscle. If you exercise it regularly, it gets stronger. If you don't exercise it, it stays the same. Training your brain doesn't mean doing something complicated. It means practicing small but powerful steps every day. Here are some simple ways to start. 1. Notice your thoughts. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to what you tell yourself every day. Do you often think, I can't, I'm not good enough, or this is too hard? When you catch yourself thinking like this, stop for a moment. Notice the thought. Don't judge yourself. Just notice it. 2. Question your thoughts. After you notice a negative thought, ask yourself, is this thought true? Is it helping me or hurting me? Sometimes we believe thoughts that are not real. We just accept them because we have repeated them many times. But when you question them, you can see them more clearly. 3. Choose a better thought. This is the most important step. Replace the negative thought with a better one. For example, instead of thinking, I can't speak English, you can think, I am learning. I will improve if I practice. This does not mean you lie to yourself. It means you choose a thought that helps you grow. 4. Practice daily. Thinking differently takes practice. You must repeat the new thought many times. The more you repeat it, the stronger the new path becomes in your brain. Over time, the new thought becomes automatic. 5. Take small actions. Thinking differently is not only about your thoughts. It is also about your actions. If you want to think differently, you need to do new things. For example, if you want to improve your English, practice speaking every day, even for a few minutes. If you want to be more confident, take small steps outside your comfort zone. These simple steps are powerful. They can change your life. They can help you build a new mindset. And the best part is that anyone can do it. You do not need to be special or smart. You just need to practice. So remember, the brain can change. You can change. And it all starts with one small thought, one small action, one small step. The next time you notice a negative thought, do not let it control you. Stop, question it, replace it, and move forward. If you keep doing this every day, you will begin to think differently. You will become stronger, happier, and more confident. And your life will begin to change. When you notice a negative thought, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me grow, or is it holding me back? This is the first step in changing your thinking. 2. Replace negative thoughts with better ones. Don't just stop a negative thought. Replace it with a better one. For example, instead of saying, I can't speak English, say, I'm learning to speak English. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I learned something for next time. Instead of thinking, this is too hard, say, this is a challenge and challenges help me grow. Over time, your brain starts to believe the better thought. It becomes a new habit. 3. Practice daily affirmations. Your words shape your brain. Start each day by saying something positive about yourself. You can say things like, I am learning. I am growing. I am stronger than I think. This may feel strange at first, but with practice, it becomes natural and powerful. The more you repeat these phrases, the more your brain accepts them as truth. 4. Take small actions outside your comfort zone. Thinking differently is not just about thoughts. It is also about actions. Every time you do something a little uncomfortable, like speaking one English sentence in public or trying a new idea, you show your brain that growth is safe. Your brain learns that you can handle new things. The more you do it, the braver your brain becomes. You will start to feel more confident. You will begin to enjoy new experiences instead of fearing them. 5. Surround yourself with positive voices. Your environment matters. If you spend time with people who complain, doubt, or stay stuck, you will absorb their energy. You may start to think like them. But if you surround yourself with people who encourage you, support you, and believe in growth, your brain learns to think that way too. Positive people can help you stay motivated. They can help you stay focused on your goals. They can help you believe in yourself. 6. Be patient and kind to yourself. Remember, training your brain is not about perfection. It is about progress. Some days you will feel strong, and some days you will fall back into old habits. That is okay. Growth is not a straight line. What matters is that you keep showing up, keep practicing, and keep moving forward. Every small step counts. So, training your brain to think differently comes down to this. Notice your thoughts. Replace the ones that do not serve you. Speak better words to yourself, take small brave actions, and surround yourself with positive people. When you do these things, your brain begins to change. You begin to build a new mindset. Over time, your thoughts will become more positive and more powerful. You will start to see new opportunities. You will feel more confident. You will feel happier. And your life will start to change in a good way. Remember, you are not stuck with your old thinking. You can change. You can grow. You can become the person you want to be. It starts with one small thought, one small action, one small step every day.
Keep practicing.
Keep learning. Keep growing. And your brain will continue to become stronger, smarter, and more positive. If you practice these steps every day, even in small ways, your brain will change. You will start to see the world differently. You will start to see yourself differently. And that is when real transformation begins. What you listen to, read, and watch every day shapes your thinking. If you are always surrounded by negative news, gossip, or criticism, your brain will naturally think in negative ways. But if you choose positive input like podcasts, books, or people who inspire you, your brain learns to think positively too. For example, listening to English podcasts, reading motivational books, or spending time with people who encourage you all help train your brain to focus on growth and possibilities. So, let's quickly review the steps we talked about. 1. Ask better questions. Better questions lead your brain toward solutions, not problems. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Better questions help you grow. 2. Write down your thoughts. Writing clears your mind. It helps you see your thoughts more clearly and helps you focus on progress. When you write, you can notice patterns and change them. 3. Change one word. Small words can create big changes in how you feel and act. For example, change "I can't" to "I can try." Change "I failed" to "I learned." These small changes in language can change your mind. 4. Be curious. Curiosity turns fear into excitement. When you are curious, you want to learn and explore. Curiosity helps you grow. It helps you try new things. 5. Surround yourself with positive input. Your environment feeds your brain, so choose carefully. If you spend time with people who complain or doubt you, you may start to think like them. But if you spend time with people who support you and believe in growth, your brain will learn to think that way too. These tips are simple, but don't underestimate their power. If you practice them every day, even for just a few minutes, your brain will begin to create new pathways. Slowly but surely, you will notice that your thoughts become more positive, your actions become stronger, and your confidence grows. Remember, thinking differently doesn't happen in one big step. It happens in small daily steps. It is not about changing everything at once. It is about making small changes every day. And the good news is that you have already started by learning about this today. Your brain is like a sponge. It absorbs whatever you give to it. If you are always listening to negative news, gossip, or complaints, your brain will absorb that negativity. You will start to feel tired, worried, or unhappy. But if you feed your brain with positive and helpful information, you'll start to feel more hopeful and strong. So be careful about what you feed your mind. Choose positive input. Choose learning. Choose growth. Choose people who inspire you. Choose content that helps you become better. When you do this, your brain will begin to think in a new way. Your thoughts will become more positive. Your mind will become clearer. Your actions will become stronger. And your life will start to change. Remember, change is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice. And you are already on the right path. Keep listening, keep learning, and keep growing. Your brain is ready to change, and so are you. Your brain is like a sponge. It absorbs whatever you give it. If you are always listening to negative news, gossip, or complaints, your brain will start to think in a negative way too. You may not notice it at first, but little by little, those negative voices become your own inner voice. Your mind begins to repeat them automatically. Soon, you may start to believe that the negative thoughts are true. This is why the things you watch and listen to are very important. But the opposite is also true. If you choose positive input like motivational podcasts, inspiring books, or friends who support your growth, your brain begins to absorb that positive energy. It starts to think in a stronger and healthier way. You begin to feel more confident. You begin to see opportunities. You begin to believe in yourself. For example, if you listen to a podcast like this one every day, even for just 10 minutes, your brain becomes filled with better ideas. You don't need hours of study. A little bit every day creates a big difference over time. Slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to think differently simply because you are feeding your brain better things. Remember this, your brain is always listening. It listens to the words you use, the thoughts you repeat, the questions you ask, and the people you surround yourself with. If you give it negative input, it will give you negative output. But if you feed it good input, it will give you better output. If you train it with helpful, positive thoughts, it will help you live a better and more confident life. Let's make this real with an example. Imagine someone named Maria. Maria used to say, "I can't speak English. I always make mistakes." Every time she tried, she felt embarrassed and gave up quickly. She thought her mistakes meant she was not smart. She felt weak and stopped trying. Her brain began to believe that she was not good at English. But then Maria made a few small changes. She started writing down one good thing she learned every single day. It could be a new word, a sentence she understood, or even just the fact that she tried. She did not focus only on her mistakes. She focused on progress. She started to see her improvement, even if it was small. Maria also changed her words. Instead of saying, "I can't," she began saying, "I'm trying." Instead of asking, "Why am I so bad at this?" she started asking, "What small thing can I do today to improve?" These small changes in her language made a big difference. She began to think differently. Her brain began to build a new path. Maria also paid attention to her environment. She stopped spending time with people who laughed at her mistakes. Those people made her feel afraid and embarrassed. Instead, she chose to listen to English podcasts and watch videos that encouraged her. She spent time with friends who supported her learning. She chose positive input. After a while, Maria began to feel more confident. She started to speak English more often. She made fewer mistakes because she was practicing. Her brain was learning and growing. She was no longer afraid of making mistakes. She saw them as part of learning. This is the power of training your brain. It does not happen overnight. It happens through small, consistent changes. You can do the same thing. You can choose better input. You can change your thoughts. You can change your words. You can change your environment. And your brain will begin to think differently. So remember, you have the power to change your mind. You have the power to change your life. It starts with the small things you do every day. Just like Maria, you can build a better mindset and become more confident. Your brain is ready to grow, and you are ready to take the next step. Maria started listening to English podcasts, watching learning videos, and talking to people who encouraged her. She stopped spending time with people who made her feel bad about her mistakes. She chose positive voices instead. After a few months, Maria noticed a big difference. Her thoughts became more positive. Her confidence grew. And because her confidence grew, her English improved too. She began to speak more, understand more, and feel happier about learning. This story shows us something very important. Training your brain does not require big steps. It does not mean you have to change your whole life in one day. It starts with one small change, One better question, one new word, one curious choice, one positive voice. Step by step, your brain follows your lead and learns to think in a whole new way. This is how change happens. It is slow, but it is real. And this brings us to a powerful truth. Practice makes change. Not practice makes perfect, but practice makes progress. Just like learning English or playing a sport, changing the way you think is not a one-time action. It is something you do a little bit every day. The more you practice, the stronger the new habits become. The more you repeat, the easier it gets. Your brain starts to create new paths, new ways of thinking, and new habits. So, what can you do every day to help your brain think differently? Here are some simple habits you can start immediately, even if you are busy or tired. These habits are small, but they are powerful. 1. Try one new idea a day. Each day, learn something new, even something small. It could be a new English word, a new perspective on a problem, or an idea from a book or podcast. When you give your brain new ideas, it stays active and curious. It does not get stuck in old thoughts. At the end of the day, ask yourself, what did I learn today? This small question keeps your brain awake, growing, and ready to see the world in new ways. It helps you stay curious and open. 2. End your day with one positive thought. Before you go to sleep, take a moment to remember one good thing from your day. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe you helped someone. Maybe you learned something new. Maybe you spoke English for 5 minutes with courage. Whatever it is, think of that one good thing and let your brain rest with it. Ending your day with positivity prepares your mind for a better tomorrow. It trains your brain to focus on what is good, not what is wrong. 3. Change your inner language. The words you use inside your mind are very powerful. When you say, I can't, your brain hears it and believes it. But when you say, I'm trying, your brain starts to feel hope. When you say, I will learn, your brain begins to build new paths. So, choose words that support you. Use words that encourage you and make you feel strong. 4. Take small actions every day. Thinking differently is not only about thoughts. It is also about actions. Every time you do something slightly uncomfortable, you show your brain that growth is safe. It can be as simple as speaking one sentence in English, trying a new hobby, or asking a question in class. The more you practice, the braver your brain becomes. The fear becomes smaller. 5. Stay around positive people. Your environment matters. If you spend time with people who complain, doubt, or stay stuck, you will absorb their energy. But if you spend time with people who encourage you, support you, and believe in growth, your brain learns to think that way too. Remember, thinking differently does not happen in one big step. It happens in small daily steps. And the good news is you have already started by learning about this today. You are already practicing the first step. So keep going and keep training your brain. Your future self will thank you. These habits may seem small, but they are very powerful. When you practice them every day, they help your brain choose better thoughts. They help you look for growth instead of fear. They help you believe in progress instead of limits. Even small actions matter. Maybe you spoke a little English today. Maybe you said just one word or one short sentence. That still counts. Every small step matters. When you notice and celebrate these small successes, your brain starts to focus on the good things, not only the bad things. When you go to sleep with a positive thought, you wake up with better energy. Over time, this simple habit brings more peace, more hope, and more confidence into your life. Here is another important daily habit. Remember this rule: one mistake equals one learning. Many people feel bad when they make mistakes. They feel embarrassed, angry, or sad. Some even stop trying because they are afraid of failing again. But mistakes are not your enemy. mistakes are normal. In fact, mistakes are useful. Every mistake is a teacher. Instead of thinking, I failed, try asking, what can I learn from this? For example, if you said something wrong in English today, don't say, I'm terrible at English. Instead, say, great, now I know what to improve. This small change in thinking makes a big difference. When you see mistakes as lessons, your brain stops being afraid. It becomes stronger, braver, and more open to new ideas. And here is something very simple, but very powerful. Repeat a short affirmation every day. An affirmation is just a short, positive sentence you say to yourself to build belief and confidence. It doesn't need to be long or complicated. For example, try saying, I can learn, I can grow, I can think in new ways. Say it slowly. Say it with feeling. Even if you don't fully believe it yet, say it anyway. Because when you repeat something again and again, your brain starts to believe it. This is how new thoughts become real. This is how your mind changes. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep practicing. The brain learns through repetition. Just like when you practice English, your brain becomes stronger when you practice positive thoughts. When you repeat affirmations, your brain begins to accept them as true. Over time, your confidence grows. Your thoughts become more positive. Your actions become stronger. You can also make this even easier by choosing one simple affirmation and using it every day. Write it on a note, put it on your mirror, or say it while you brush your teeth. The more you repeat it, the more your brain will accept it. And when your brain accepts it, your life begins to change. So remember, small habits create big change. Speak one word in English. Celebrate one small success. Learn from one mistake. Repeat one positive sentence. These actions may seem small, but they build a stronger mind. They help you train your brain to think differently. And that is how you become a better, happier, and more confident person. When you repeat a positive sentence again and again, your brain begins to believe it is important. Slowly, your thinking starts to change. This is not magic. It is just practice. But practice works. When you practice new thoughts every day, your brain learns to think in a better way. You can write your affirmation on a sticky note and put it on your mirror, your desk, or your wall. Every time you see it, say it out loud. You can also record it on your phone and listen to it in the morning or before bed. These small actions help your brain to think more positively and confidently every single day. Now you have some small but powerful daily brain habits. Learn one new thing every day. End your day with one good thought. See mistakes as learning. Repeat a positive affirmation. They may seem easy, but when you practice them every day, they become part of you. They become part of how your brain works. And the result is real change. Slow, steady, and strong. So, if you want to think differently, don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for a big moment. Start now with small daily habits. Practice them with patience, with love, and with trust. And your brain will follow. It will grow. It will change. It will help you create a better, happier life. One day, one thought, one step at a time. Now, let me share a simple story with you. There was a young woman named Amina. She lived in a small town and always believed she wasn't very smart. In school, she struggled with math and science. No matter how hard she studied, her grades did not improve. Each time she failed a test, she told herself, I'm just not good at this. Maybe I'm not smart like other students. That thought stayed with her. Slowly, her confidence began to disappear. She stopped asking questions in class. She stopped raising her hand. And little by little, she even stopped trying.
Why?
Because she already believed she couldn't change. She thought her brain was fixed and she could not improve. She felt trapped by her own thoughts. One day, her teacher noticed this. He saw that Amina was quiet and afraid. He knew she had potential, but she needed a new way of thinking. So he gave her a small book about the growth mindset. The book explained that people can improve with effort and practice. It said that mistakes are part of learning, not a sign of failure. It taught her that the brain can grow and change like a muscle. At first, Amina did not believe it. She thought it was too late for her. She felt hopeless. But she decided to try. She started reading the book slowly, one page at a time. She learned that her brain could grow. She learned that she could change her thinking. She learned that she was not stuck. After a few days, she began to think differently. When she failed a test, she did not say, "I'm not smart." Instead, she said, "I will try again and learn from this." She began to ask questions in class. She began to study in a new way. She practiced more, not less. She gave herself time and patience. As time passed, her grades improved. More importantly, her confidence grew. She realized that her brain could learn new things. She realized that she was not trapped by her past. She had the power to change her thoughts and her life. Amina's story shows us that even if we believe we cannot change, we can. We just need the right mindset and small steps every day. The book was called "You're Not Stuck. You're Still Learning." At first, Amina did not think the book would help. She thought it was just another book with ideas she already heard before. But one evening, she opened it and read a few pages. The book said something very simple, but it was powerful. Your brain is like a garden. What you plant and take care of will grow. That sentence made Amina stop and think. Maybe her brain was not broken. Maybe she had just been planting the wrong seeds. Maybe she had been watering the weeds of negative thoughts instead of the flowers of positive ones. She had been thinking, "I'm not smart," and that thought had grown bigger and stronger in her mind. She realized that her thoughts were like seeds. If she kept planting the same negative thoughts, she would keep getting the same results. That night, Amina made a decision. From then on, she would plant new seeds, better thoughts, stronger beliefs, and daily habits that would help her grow. She decided to change her thinking step by step. She knew it would not happen overnight, but she was ready to try. That night, Amina did something different. Instead of saying, "I'm not smart," she told herself, "I'm still learning, and I can improve." That one small change made her feel a little lighter, a little stronger. She felt hope.
She felt like she had a chance to change.
The next time she got a math question wrong, she did not call herself stupid. She did not give up. Instead, she felt curious. She asked herself, "What did I miss? How can I understand this better?" That curiosity was new for her. It was a new way of thinking. Instead of feeling afraid, she felt interested. Instead of feeling shame, she felt motivated. She also started a small notebook. Every night before bed, she wrote down one mistake she made that day and what she learned from it. At first, it felt strange. She was not used to thinking about mistakes in a positive way. But after a few weeks, she began to notice something important. Her mistakes were actually helping her. They were showing her where she needed to grow. They were not proof that she was not smart. They were proof that she was learning. Slowly, her confidence began to return. She stopped being afraid to raise her hand in class. Even if she did not always get the answer right, she still tried. She started to speak more. She started to participate more. And something amazing happened. Her classmates noticed. They began to see her as someone who was brave enough to ask good questions. They respected her for trying. Her teacher noticed too. He saw her change, and he smiled. After 6 months of practicing this new way of thinking, Amina finally passed a big math exam. It was not a perfect score, but it was her best result ever. She felt proud. Her teacher smiled and said, "See, you trained your brain. You practiced new thoughts, and now you are growing." Amina realized that her brain had changed. She had changed. Amina's story shows us that thinking differently is possible for everyone. You do not need to be born smart or lucky. You only need to change your thoughts and your habits one small step at a time. When you plant positive seeds in your mind, your life begins to change. Your confidence grows. Your skills improve. And you begin to believe in yourself again. Amina's teacher smiled and said, "You trained your brain to think differently." Amina laughed and replied, "It's true. I didn't need a new brain. I just needed new thoughts." This story shows us something powerful. Changing how you think can really change your life. Amina did not suddenly become a genius. She did not find a secret formula. She simply stopped believing the old story that said she wasn't smart. She replaced it with a new story: I can learn. I can grow. I'm not stuck. That one new belief changed her actions. And her new actions change her results. This is the real power of thinking differently. It is not about being perfect. It is about choosing better thoughts and taking small steps every day. Many people are like Amina. They think one bad result means they will never succeed. They think one mistake means they are not good enough. But the truth is, one mistake can be the beginning of something better if we use it to learn, grow, and keep going. You don't need a perfect brain. You don't need to get everything right the first time. All you need is a brain that is willing to try again, to think differently, and to believe in the power of small daily changes. So let me ask you, what old thought do you need to change today? Maybe your thought is, "I'm not good at English." Maybe it is, "I always fail." Maybe it is, "I'm too old to learn." Whatever it is, I want you to pause, take that thought and change it. Turn it into something better, something kinder, something more helpful. For example, "I'm not good at English" becomes, "I'm still learning and I can improve." "I always fail" becomes, "I make mistakes, but I learn from them." "I'm too old to learn" becomes, "It's never too late to grow." These changes may seem small, but they are powerful. They change the way your brain works. They change the way you feel. They change the way you act. And slowly, they change your life. Let's take a moment to remember the big lesson of this episode. Your brain is not fixed. It can grow. It can improve. It can learn new ways of thinking. That is the message I want you to take with you. You are not stuck with the way you think today. You can change your thoughts. You can change your beliefs. And step by step, you can change your life. Science has a word for this ability. It is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means your brain can change. It can form new connections. It can create new habits. It can become stronger. And you can control this process by choosing what you think, what you do, and what you practice every day.